Um, we made it because we were going down to Art Basel for in 2019.
Okay.
And someone had invited us to a show, and my friend Sunny, who is like a genius in Unity, was just like, we can just make an app and we can try all these fun things. So we actually made, the reason we did it, I'll show you guys a video, is we made an interactive AR art piece. So similar to the ones you saw, but it's interactive in the sense that it actually is 3D. So when you move the camera around, there's like a portal behind the print. And then also when you tap the screen, it moves on to the next phase of the animation. And it took us like 4 months to figure out how to do it. We did it, and it was very exciting. So, but we still use the app, and we use it now with clients and with other artists. So
That's very cool. Very awesome. Yeah, I saw your gallery page too. That was really very cool too. Well, I'm going to hand over the speaker functions to you. You can
okay.
share, and we'll all go on mute while you present.
Cool. Yeah. And then, I'll tell you guys a little bit about kind of how I got here. And then what we're doing now. And then I would love to, hear more about what you guys are doing and if you have any questions. But yeah, so I'll tell you a little bit before I start showing you videos. So I went to Boston University and I majored in graphic design. And we had like one class that had one animation project, and I immediately fell in love with it. I think because graphic design, it's like you have to solve the problem for the one still image. But with animation, you've got like a whole timeline, and you can do it with music. And, I grew up dancing. So it's like choreographing your artwork, with animation. Um, so after I graduated, I basically just, worked at some restaurants. I taught the drink and paint classes in New York, which were awesome. And I did a lot of just like personal work, like personal animations. Just, I would find topics that I would want to make something for. And slowly I started getting freelance jobs just from friends. And that kind of slowly snowballed into bigger jobs where I wanted to hire some friends to help me because I didn't want to do these bigger projects alone. And that kind of is why I started Kaleido Studio, just so we weren't putting out animations that were only under my name. I wanted it to be like a company name. And then from there, slowly got more clients. And then I discovered augmented reality a few years ago, because the studio building that I was in Bushwick, Brooklyn, there was another studio down the hall, and they were a very like tech production company. So every time I would go in there were like robots like on the floor, and they, knew everything about VR and AR, and kind of just asked if I wanted to play around with augmented reality. And, you know, at that point, I didn't really know much about it. So I had to think about it for like 6 months. And then I finally figured out how it could work. And especially coming from an animation background, I tell everyone, like, if you're an animator, it's like all of the hard work is done already, at least the way I do AR. And so I ended up using this app, which I can send you guys, called Artivive. And they're incredible. They're based in Austria. They're very nice people. I've done shows with them. I met the founder. He came to New York. It's this AR app where I think as students you might get a free account. I'm not sure, but it used to be totally free. Now I think you pay just a little bit if you want to sell any works with them. But basically the way they do it is all you need to do is upload a trigger image, and then you upload a video file. So for me, that was like I totally understand how to do that if I'm making artwork, like an animated artwork. Again, that's the hard part. So then I just choose one still image from it and make that the trigger image, and then I started printing those out. And in that same studio building in Bushwick, we would have Bushwick Open Studios. And that's the first time I showed the AR artwork, and it like blew everyone's minds. People would come in. I don't know if you guys have been able to share your work with anyone yet, but still, I think not many people have seen AR or seen AR artwork. So when they do, it's like, oh my God, it's magic. How are you doing that? Like I had one woman at, we did a gallery show at that same studio, and she was a little drunk, I think, but she, I was like holding the phone up and like activating the artwork, and she literally reached out and touched the print because she was like I was like, do you think your hand's gonna go into like another universe right now? Um, but so, you know, we've had some really hilarious and great experiences sharing AR artwork. And so that kind of, I started to ask my other animator friends if they wanted to do these shows with me, because again, like if you're making animations for yourself anyway, why not make it into a print? And then so we did a lot of group shows, and you know, we did a lot of shows around the city, and I went to South by Southwest to do a show. And then my two friends who built the Kaleida app with me, I actually met one through Instagram. You know, I was posting my AR artworks and he reached out. He had a VR bar in Dumbo, which is sadly not there anymore. But he was like, if you want to show your artworks here, you know, we would love to have you. And then through him, I met Sunny at a VR and AR networking event. So all just kind of like within the New York art and tech world has been given me a lot of opportunities and a lot of great friends. And now we have an app, and like we have clients together, and we're I'm not sure how much I'm supposed to say at the moment, but we're working with a company that has the official photographs for the MLS, the soccer leagues, and we're working with, I'm animating like, you know, taking an image sequence of a guy like scoring a goal and making it into this like art animation, and then we're going to put it in our app, and they're going to see if they can sell it to some of the sports fans, which is really crazy and cool. So, you know, it's kind of snowballed into a lot of stuff. So right now, we haven't obviously done AR art shows since the beginning of the pandemic, but my friend built the virtual gallery space, which I'll send you actually, because you guys might find it super interesting. But so we're still kind of an AR art studio, but has slowed down a little bit. And I also still do motion graphics and animation, and I work on a lot of documentaries. So that's kind of like a kind of weird and winding way of how I got here. And then if you guys saw the app, that's great. Let me show you a video of that interactive piece I was talking about. Let's see. So basically, and I'll explain how we did this afterwards, because I think it's super fascinating. And collaborating with Sunny, who's the software engineer, who's like a mad genius, was really fun, because it's animation and, you know, software engineering kind of have similar languages. So even though we didn't really know what the other person was totally talking about, we understood each other. But so this is the piece. So basically it starts in one place. You kind of hang out there for a little while, and then you can tap the phone or the tablet with your finger, and then it will proceed to the next phase. And then you tap one more time and it will come all the way back to the beginning, and it's like an endless loop. And it also has it's 2.5D. So you've got 2D layers going back into this portal behind the print.
That's so cool.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
The transferring point from the orange palette to the blue reminds me of a Joseph Stella bridge.
Oh, nice.
right there. Very Joseph Stella. Amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, this was kind of it was the last and most important piece for the show at Art Basel. And since we kept changing the way that we were building it, because we would have this one idea of, you know, with this kind of thing, and I'm sure you guys are understanding this probably even more than I do now, but with this kind of thing, it's like, do you store the videos on the phone with the app? Do you stream them? If you're streaming them, we know we really wanted this to be a portal. So then how do you get the transparency between each of the layers? And so we tried a couple things. We tried like almost like a green screen, like keying out green from each of my 2D layers, and that didn't work. So then we ended up doing what Sunny calls alpha packing, which means I had for each, I'm going to say this and it's maybe not going to make any sense, but basically we've got like the different phases of the animation. We had the intro, which is at this color scheme. Then you tap it and you've got a transition to the blue world. Then you can hang out in the blue or the yellow world for as long as you want, and it will just keep looping until you tap, and then it will bring you back. So for each of those phases, we made a video that packed in every 2D layer here. I think there were 4 layers, not including the sphere sky. And then also on the other half of the video were the alpha channels, which means just the white and black versions of each of the layers. And then what Sunny did is like overlaid this alpha channel onto the artwork side of the video to cut the transparency out. And then we stream all the videos for the app every time. So it takes a little while to load, but then it's like pretty seamless. And we worked with my friend who is a sound designer to kind of help us have sound design for each of those phases that could also blend at any time that you want to tap. So it was a really fun challenge that ended up being like down to the wire. Like the day before the show opened in Miami, Sunny and I are like sitting at a gas station on our laptops, like trying to finish the piece. But we did. So this one was very fun, and yeah. And let's see if there's anything else fun to show you guys. And then I don't know if you guys have seen it on the website, but I'll show you another one, which this is not actually 3D, but the way that I made it is kind of like, my approach to AR is I know where my skills lie, which is in the animation side of things. And I also know how someone will experience it. They're going to experience it for the most part as a print on a wall. So how can I like mess with people's brains as much as possible, even if it's just like a flat video that we're showing them? So with this one, this was the first time I had the camera from the animation really like leave this frame. And I built this all in Photoshop and After Effects and then just exported as, an MP4. So that's all that this is.
That is so gorgeous.
Thank you.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, and all of the animations that we did and that my friends did for the different shows are looping animations, which is kind of fun, especially if you know that it's only like a 10-second animation and then you're watching someone experience it and they're standing there for like 2 minutes. It's nice to provide something that then captivates an audience so much. And I've had a few times where someone walked into one of our shows and like, a lot of times talk to them and see if they have any questions, which most of the time they do. But a couple times I've had people who just like didn't want to talk at all, and they just like were in the pieces, and it's kind of a nice feeling too. I'm like, I'll leave you alone. I'll just, so what else can I show you? I'll show you one more video, and then I'd love to, talk or answer any other questions. I have a couple, not this one, wait, sorry. Whew. So this is a video from one of the gallery shows that we did in the city, in the financial district. This is actually, funny if you guys have heard of it. Animation Nights New York is a festival that happens every year. They've got like an annual festival, but then they used to do like, I think, monthly animation screenings. And so for the actual festival for the last 2 years, we did a whole augmented reality animation show at the front of the location, which was really fun because these are, much different types of animations. They're not like full short films, or they're not, it's not like storytelling, but totally still valid, beautiful types of animation. And it's a totally different delivery to get the animation. And actually, especially at like a film festival, if you guys have been to an animation film festival or anything, if you go with friends, it's kind of hard to like discuss what you're watching because you're in a room full of other people and you don't want to disturb them. And with something like this, where you're just standing in a gallery and experiencing it maybe next to your friend, you can actually have more of a dialogue about each piece that you are experiencing together, which is cool. But so for this was the last show we did, which was 2019. And I think we had like 20 artists that participated. And a few of them were my friends beforehand, but many of them I just found on Instagram, and now we're actually like close friends. And, Instagram has been great for AR art.
So you mainly use After Effects for the animations?
Say that again?
You mainly use After Effects?
Sorry, I just turned down my computer volume and not the video volume.
Oh, we didn't hear anything. Sorry. I'll ask after this is done playing.
Okay.
What was that last one? That looks funny.
That last one was from a short film that they made in stop motion. Those were actually 2 little real insects inside of a matchbox that they made into an AR print. Hey man, whatever you want to make into an AR print is fine with me.
That's so funny. Have you been doing any? You could turn these into NFTs. You know that, right?
Yes, and I have one of the artists in there is about to start making some NFTs.
I've been doing it already. If you need another helper.
Yeah, I've been kind of just watching it from the sidelines, and also I haven't made any new artwork in a while, so
Well, it doesn't have to be new though.
Right. Yeah.
And I've been teaching it for, I guess, a couple months now, and I've had mine up for about a month. And yeah, if you want to collaborate or something, let me know. We can talk more.
Yeah.
After.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested. I've been slow about it.
Oh, you were going to send us some links. Can you put them in the chat?
Yes.
What was
Oh,
it?
and right. So I had a couple.
Art TV, right?
Maybe you guys don't need these, but I had a couple ideas of just things to share with you that have been helpful for me in my animation and AR career. One of them has just been being a part of Facebook groups. I don't know if you guys do that, but there's like a women in animation Facebook group. There is a Panimation Facebook group. There's also, I'm part of all the women ones, but I'm sure there's many others, but there's like, you know, New York art and tech. And through all those Facebook groups, I've found a lot of amazing resources, and I know people get jobs through them. I found some cool, like, I actually, it's funny, since I went to school for graphic design and kind of just, you know, flew by the seat of my pants for the last 10 years, just recently I got my first animation book. Well, it's a design for motion book, but I'm very proud of myself for actually like going back and like learning some now. But yeah, so I'll send you Artivive the app. There's also a website called Coolers, which is gives you color palette ideas. And I know for me, making personal work and figuring out color palettes is really takes like the longest amount of time. So I think that's super cool. And then also in one of the animation groups recently, someone shared this thing called Brief Builder, which just randomizes a brief idea for you. If you want to make a personal animation and you don't have any ideas, it's like, it'll like randomize the theme and the style and just, you know, just like some prompts. And then also the School of Motion, free resources are really cool for animation. And then I will also put
What was
in
that? Free sources?
School of Motion
Oh.
has some really cool animation resources. Artivive, I was going to send you. Yeah, and for Artivive, like I said, they're amazing. If Trish, if you wanted like an intro with them, if you wanted to use it for any of your classes, I'd be happy to introduce you to them.
Oh yeah, definitely. Would love that.
They're amazing. And I used their app like until we made our own. And I'm still friends with them, even though I kind of made a competing app because they're just great. And last thing I'll put up. Yeah, and School of Motion, they've got like, you know, paid courses, which I'm not like saying you should do right now, but they also have a really amazing blog and YouTube channel that I've learned a lot on, especially since I didn't go to school for animation. Like I taught myself like many people, I think. But then there are just like obvious things in like After Effects that I haven't known for 10 years. And then I learned like now and I'm like, oh, if I knew this, it would have saved me so much time. So, you know, free resources, like they've got a bunch, are very helpful.
Yeah, we've touched on After Effects, Adobe Animate, Blender, Spark AR, but I kind of like decided not to do Unity. It's just so complicated.
Yeah, I don't touch Unity. That's what Sunny does.
Last semester when I taught it, I had one student who decided to do Unity on his own. Like, all right. But I did end up spending a Saturday with them helping him.
That's great. I mean, like I said, my major was graphic design, but I fell in love with animation. So I decided to do my thesis in animation, even though none of my professors could help me. And I had like a 1 or 2 month internship with this animation studio in Boston. And they gave me a license for Cinema 4D, the 3D program. And I somehow managed a like 2-minute long thesis animation in it, which, you know, it's not that bad, but it was a struggle. And I ended up having to render the last 30 seconds of it on like 20 computers in the school because each frame took a billion years, and it was, you know, a learning experience, but I was very excited about it.
Very cool. Do you guys have questions? Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
Could you tell us more about the internships and any advice you have for us as to obviously not an easy way because it's not going to be like a snap of a finger, but just tips and tricks as to be able to get an internship.
Yeah. So there are some, I'll also put in my friends, they have a stop motion studio in Brooklyn. They're an amazing group of people, and I know that they are taking interns. So I'll throw them up there. They're cool to follow anyway. They're a great company. But then I also think, I do know that the Women in Animation Facebook group, and just group in general, has a mentor program where you can sign up as a mentee and also get a mentor who's been in the animation world for a longer period of time. I don't think it's only for women. I think that's just how the group started. Um, I I got that internship through just, I think a friend's mom knew the woman who owned the studio or something. So there wasn't a special trick to get in besides just like they offered. But I definitely know that there are a ton of resources, especially in the New York area, so like Jersey as well, where people are trying really hard to help provide opportunities. So let me find the Women in Animation site right now, and I'll put it up, and then maybe some of the other Facebook groups, because that would be, I think, the best bet. And also, does your school like provide sort of ideas, or like do they have like a job board or an internship portal or anything?
I'm not really sure. I always send things off to the admin person, and I think she posts things. I'm not sure what the board, where it goes. So,
Yeah.
do you guys see that? Any postings for internships in general? Have you seen much?
There's like the seal department. They usually send emails out.
Right. That's what I've been using. Yeah, that one.
Let's see. If I think of any others, I can also just email you afterwards. But I mean, I think Facebook and Instagram, even though they're very annoying sometimes, and I have to like take them off my phone just to take a break for a little bit, they're actually very helpful for career building. I've made a lot of amazing connections just by reaching out to amazing artists that I love. Right after I graduated college, there was a guy who directed one of the Gautier music videos for Dig Your Own Hole, and it was like the most incredible animation I'd ever seen. And I found the director's name, and I literally sent him a fan email for this music video, and he got back to me, and he was super nice. And then, 8 years later, I asked him if he wanted to do the AR art shows with us, and he said yes. So we like did shows together. And like I said, I met my now business partner just through Instagram. So I know that people like Mighty Oak, that last studio I posted, really try hard to make sure to give people opportunities. I know they're taking interns. And I think just following them, they're the type of studio that will just post about opportunities. But I think the social media world for animation and AR is really supportive. So don't be shy about reaching out to people, even if it's just to be like, hey, I love your work, or ask a question, or that's been great for me even now.
That's very cool. I'm using, I think I'm going to end up using Minsar Studio for my live broadcast tomorrow.
Oh yeah. Oh, I was going to share the virtual gallery. That might be something I email you after, but it's really cool.
Yeah, I'd like to know, because I'm a little nervous because tomorrow I'm there, they don't have Wi-Fi, so I have to tether to my cellular data, and that doesn't always work. I'm like,
Right.
that's the biggest. I was at the Venice Biennale in 2019, and they had a couple AR pieces, and one which was really a great idea, but it didn't work at all. And I think things are now to the point where things work. Like, where, to have something work in the spaces that was very difficult back in 2019. This person did a piece that they did an AR app over every bridge in Venice, and they were working with maps, with Google Maps and the geo-targeting. And I think that they kept updating the app, and they had thousands and thousands and thousands of files trying to run through Wi-Fi, and it just kept crashing. And that's like, I think going out with an AR app, the fact that you guys spent 6 months and you made sure it worked, it's so, so important.
Yeah. I mean, Sonny's like the most professional, like boss man I've ever met. So he like, builds AR and VR experiences for his job,
Mhm.
and he, I think, knows all the troubleshooting that we have to do. So he was a great partner to have.
I would love to meet
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. Well, he moved back to Canada, but
Oh,
he's still on virtual.
everyone wants to live in Canada.
Yeah. But yeah, for shows, we mostly recommend not doing Wi-Fi if there's a lot of people in the room, because then if everyone's on Wi-Fi, it's going to be slow for everyone. So we recommend doing data. But tomorrow, I don't know if you have time, you can buy a network extender from like maybe Best Buy. I don't even know where, but it strengthens your mobile data network. You, I think, have to get it for the right network, but we used that for one show actually.
Yeah, that's like the little jump router
Yeah,
type thing.
I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
I was using that with a client for a while, and it worked really well. But
Yeah.
and it's not that expensive.
Yeah, and again, I know you're not really using Unity, but I'll tell you another trick that we did for the Miami show. So we, obviously you can download the app from the App Store, you can use it on Wi-Fi or data, but for us, for the three of us, Sunny made offline builds. So we had all of the files on each of our phones.
Oh,
And he did this thing so we didn't have to stream it ever, which was good, because if we're the ones showing, if someone's like having trouble, then we can just walk up and like save the day with like the fast phone. But
yeah.
he did this crazy thing where he was like, if you tap when the app was open, if you tapped like twice and then once, it like was the secret activation to like get into offline mode. It was crazy. So there are some like workarounds if you are making your own app, with kind of smoothing out the user experience for shows.
Yeah. I think because my glitch is I'm going to be doing a live broadcast. So
Yeah.
that's where I have to be careful.
That's exciting though. It's cool.
Oh, if it works. All right, Tiffany, I know you have questions. Come on, guys.
I'm trying to figure out how to word the question still. It's kind of like for like, because technology is always changing. So how do you keep in touch with all the changing technologies and keep your art in with Google, like moving on with the technology, kind of like that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, at least for me, I kind of have to balance out doing that with not doing that. because because the technology is constantly changing. If I were to focus on just trying to keep up with all of the tech trends, then I think maybe the artwork wouldn't be as strong, because I would just be constantly trying to learn new things. But at the same time, obviously, I do try to stay on top of it as well. So it's kind of like a balance of figuring out which new technologies you're really excited about, and then definitely working with those. And then if there are others where maybe it's just like, you know, there's a lot of hype or you see a lot of people doing it. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to try. I think for what I've noticed for the last few years that we've been doing these AR art shows is that the most important thing for us has been what the content actually is, what the artwork is. So like we haven't really changed our technology now in a couple of years. And that's been fine, at least for now, although, you know, we do want to keep moving forward. But I think it's more so about just making art that you are really excited about, that's really strong, and then figuring out what technology will help you tell that story or will help you make that artwork. So I haven't, like, one thing I haven't done is Spark AR, and I do think it's super cool and I do want to do it, but at the same time I feel like I'm juggling many different skills and like technologies, and I haven't committed to putting in the time to learning that yet. I kind of have been wanting to focus on my animation skills. So I just took my first actual real cinema 4D class, you know, like from January to March, and it was very exciting. And I think that will lead into maybe learning more about VR and AR and maybe Unity. But I'm kind of going at it through a path that's more exciting to me, which is on the animation side. So I think, you know, don't lose your mind about having to stay on top of everything, because I think that might end up hurting your artistic voice in the long run. But just balance it out, you know, see what really excites you and see what'll actually like support the vision that you have for your artwork.
That is such great advice. Thank you. Oh man, that's like, it's a hard thing to stay to, because it's really easy to just like, I have to know this, I have to know that, you know, and then you just get overwhelmed. It's like a jack of all trades and a master of none.
Yeah, and like in this course that I just took, they had a lot of podcast episodes with, you know, huge artists in the cinema field, and some of them really focus on one skill and some of them do multiples. And it's just, I think also maybe like finding podcasts or video interviews with other artists in the space is always interesting to hear what their process is. And I think one of the downsides to social media is that you see all of this cool artwork that everyone else is making and you're like, oh man, I want to make that, or like I want to try that, and like everyone's making super realistic beautiful 3D stuff right now. And granted, I just took a 3D course, but I think, you know, the most important thing is making something that's uniquely yours. So it's hard to like not want to make what everyone else is making. So you just gotta balance it out, you know, try some stuff that you see other people doing that you think will be fun, and then try to carve your own path when you can.
Did you see the show last summer in the city? It was a digital AR exhibition, and it was almost like a Easter egg, find the artwork throughout the city.
Was it Kadaf?
I don't remember the name of it, but there were like QR codes everywhere and you had to find the art.
I didn't, but my friends who hosted the show in Miami that we were a part of, I will put them in the chat as well. They did something like that. And they've been doing like art and digital art, like new art fairs for a while, and now they're adding crypto art into what they're doing. But they, I think, are doing a show in Paris soon, which is an AR show.
Oh, Kadaf Paris?
Yeah.
Yeah, the entry for that's May 15th. I have it right in front of me.
Yeah, they're great. That's the show we did in Miami.
Oh, that's your friends?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm totally entering that. I'm so excited.
Nice.
Yes, put their name
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Does anyone else have any questions? So what we're going to do is, and I think we are using Spark AR. In Spark AR, you can use the patch editor to make animations with clips, and you import a sequence of PNGs, and then that becomes your animation.
Mm-hmm.
You can also animate with 3D objects with the patch editor, with triggers, with sound and movement and things like that as well. So I guess we were trying to like figure out what, so you guys do everything in Unity. We were trying to figure out how can we do that with Spark?
Well, I mean, we make all of the animation in After Effects and Photoshop and any other animation program, basically. And then Sunny just kind of activates it in Unity. Except for that portal one that I showed you, then that obviously was more of a build in Unity. But everything else, it's just using Vuforia, you know, for the trigger activation. So can you then animate in something like After Effects or Photoshop and then import those PNGs into Spark AR?
Yes, it would have to be a sequence, but we just have to be careful with the weight,
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
file weights. That's where it gets tricky.
Yeah,
So,
that's cool though.
yeah. We're at storyboard phase right now. So it's going to go on the back of the school. We do a published magazine every year. So we have the graphic arts students and illustrators and writers all collaborating on the print publication. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be great to integrate this AR experience on the back of the cover, you know, back cover of the magazine. So that's what this class is going to be doing, is just the back cover to have their AR experiences.
That's so cool. That's a great idea.
Yeah, we're trying to get the word out, you know, like trying to create something that's going to resonate and educate, and the kids can use them for portfolio pieces as well.
Oh, yeah, I have one piece of advice for everyone. Make AR business cards. I like, oh my God, I will meet people who have kept my business card in their wallet for 3 years because they always love to pull it out and just show it to friends. And so like basically I just take one of my little animated AR prints and just I printed it out on the square Moo cards, and then on the back have the app info. So it's basically just like having a little tiny print in your hand. I actually also animated my logo. Let me see if I can activate it right now. But giving out something like that, which is AR and also artwork, means that people will actually hold on to your card. And it's been the best marketing for me. And I just did it because I thought it was cool. And then it really, can I see this? Yeah, this is my sticker.
That's beautiful. Very nice.
And we like put these on the back of prints that we sold. And also when they're so small and you can hold it in your hand and it's animating, it's like even more magical feeling. You're like, whoa, how is this? So make AR business cards if you can. And you could definitely do that with Artivive. I'm sure you could do it with Spark as well. Yeah.
Yeah, we use the target feature in Spark. Now with the QR code launching the app, they always have to download the app to their phone to see the experience. Now, do you have to submit, if you're submitting anything, since it's with your app, it's already gone through the Apple Store?
Yeah, I mean, so for ours,
you don't need to re-upload anything. Is that?
For our app, it's more complicated because we do have to push a new build into the App Store every time we add something. But you guys wouldn't have to do that. So like if you used Artivive, the reason I like them so much, for example, is you have an account online, you just upload your image and you upload your video file, and as soon as it's done processing, it's in their app. So they have like a cloud build. So like when we did shows using Artivive, one time I like finished uploading the piece like an hour before the show. I don't do that all the time, but it, you know, you can when the app is like instantaneous. So, and I think, I mean, I'm sure Spark Well, I think you have to submit your filters, right, for Spark?
Yeah, you do.
So that might take longer, but Artivive is pretty instant. And they also do, they have 2.5D capability with Artivive as well. So you can have 2D layers that are popping out on top of your trigger that can be transparent or not. So there's a lot of flexibility with what you can build with them as well.
I'm gonna check that out. Yeah, I think with Spark, it launches in Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, which is awesome. And then if people already have that app, which they probably do, that makes it a lot easier for people to experience.
Right, and they can record and post while they're having the experience.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is cool.
And I don't know if you guys are part of it, but there's a Spark AR Facebook group, which I am a part of, and I just watch everyone since I don't use it. But I know there are jobs there as well. Sometimes, like people want filters made, so that's cool.
Yeah, I haven't posted anything.
You should.
I know I should. I'm very shy. Guys, anybody else? Questions?
I have one. What inspired you to create your type of style for your artworks? Like, did you get like inspiration like from a movie or a book or like other artists?
It's a good question. So the school that I went to was very fine arts based. So we did like a lot of painting and drawing classes, and I grew up doing fine art. So all of the animation like clients that I took on for our studio, I tried to put in as much hand drawn, hand designed stuff as I could. And then for my personal work, it took me a while to figure out what I wanted to make. Also, because if you're on social media and you're seeing all these other people's like really cool stuff, I was like trying to figure out which, if I wanted to try something in that style or not. But what ended up being the inspiration for these was I really like actual paintings, like at the Met or at the MFA in Boston. So, and what I thought would be really cool is if I know that I'm making these into physical prints for the wall, if they just look like a painting on the wall, then when I activate it, it will blow people's minds even more because it's like, it doesn't look like it's necessarily digital because it is all hand drawn and painted. So it was kind of like adding another level of triggery is not the right word, but like, if you know what you're doing with this kind of animation, then using that to your advantage, I thought was really cool. So if mine all look handmade, then when they come to life, it's even more mind blowing. And I like that style. So I like being able to, make digital paintings and then add the 3D depth. It's really exciting to me. And also, when I rewatched, I think it was Pocahontas, like a few years ago, it was like the first time I'd seen it in like, 20 years or something. And I was like, oh my God, I understand how they did this now. It's like 2D layers of background paintings there's only like 3 of those layers, and it still looked like there was so much depth in Pocahontas, but it's just like 2D background layers. So that was very inspiring because I was like, I understand how they made that. That's utilizing my skills, which is, painting and drawing. So it was kind of, it came out of, I know what I'm good at, sort of. So going down that path. And also I like making stuff that's kind of like trippy colors as well. So that's where the color palettes come from.
Well, your animations are incredible.
Thank you.
And they're fun to watch. I could see how people would get lost in them.
Yeah, and my friends who did the sound design do such an amazing job that it makes it even more like calming to watch. So yeah, if you can add sound to your work, or if have friends that do sound design, I think that always helps.
Does anyone else want to add anything? Questions?
I just want to add that I really enjoyed looking at the work that you put up, especially when you were talking about having the paint on the wall and then someone coming in and they get their phone and there's more. It's like there's more to it, and it keeps them going. It's like you wouldn't expect it to be that much more, and it really looked amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a really nice journey to share the work with people in that way. I think also another layer of it is that everyone's so used to being on their phone all the time anyway. So like asking them to experience artwork with a phone is a little bit weird in some respects, but at the same time, you're already so intimate with your own phone that it's like if you're watching this animation, it's really like more of like an intimate experience, which is cool. And we also found that when we had a full show of AR artwork, because like what you just said, there's a lot more to it beyond just the print, that creates this sense of like really epic mystery, because you don't know what's going to happen when you activate it. So what happens is when we have these shows, almost everyone will go around and activate every single piece, even if there's like 40 of them, because they have to know what's going to happen. You know, you can't just like walk by it. Like in like a normal museum, I'm kind of like, I know what I want to look at and like I know what I'm not interested in. So I'll just like cruise through certain galleries that I'm, you know, not whatever. But when it's something like AR, and you can provide that mystery, it really is exciting for people.
Have you been to, is it Art House that has the virtual space in New York?
Art Tech House?
Art Tech House. Have you?
We went to the one in Miami actually when we were down there. I haven't been to the one here, but the one in Miami was incredible.
The one here is by the Shed. And there's this one artist out. Oh, I can't remember his name. I'm looking it up real quick. I went for his particular show. I'll send you his info, but he does some pretty immersive experiences, like on all four walls and the ceiling. Well, you saw it when you were there, and they have like a little bar. You could have a drink, and you have a little AR something on your whatever you're drinking.
I would not want to have a drink before going into that room, because it's like there's so much going on around you. I feel
Well,
like
it's non-alcoholic. I don't think
Oh.
they don't serve alcohol.
Okay, good. That makes more sense.
Maybe your stuff will be there someday.
That would be great. I have to make a lot more work before I could cover 4 walls for that amount of time, but it's a good goal to have.
Well, didn't Musée d'Orsay in Paris take a bunch of Van Goghs and Picassos and do a virtual, in their museum? They created that whole AR experience that was like larger than life.
I think I heard about that. I didn't see much about it, but that does remind me. If you follow Artivive on like social media, they pretty often will have like open calls, and so they actually host a bunch of AR art shows themselves, and they have partnered with a museum in Austria, Vienna maybe, where they had a prompt where it was like you could choose any artwork from the museum, animate it, and it was like a contest where if the museum picked it, then they put it into the actual museum. So you could be augmenting the actual museum piece with your artwork, which is really cool. So they also provide a lot of really cool opportunities.
That's incredible. Very cool. Does anyone else have a question? No? Well, this has been such a delightful pleasure having you talk. It's
Yeah.
so happy and excited that you were able to share your work and all these tips and links. Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you for having me. It was really great to talk to you all, and it's always like makes me more excited to talk about it. And I think you guys are very far ahead of where I was at, in school. So you're doing great. You already have many more skills than I had. So that's very exciting. And, feel free to reach out to me on, Instagram or Facebook. And if I think of anything else, I'll email it to you. But I'm very excited for you all. I think you're doing the right thing. It's a really great industry to get into.
Thank you, Julie.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for coming. Your work was very beautiful and inspiring.
Thank you so much, guys. You're so nice.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
All right. Talk to you
You
soon.
too.
Bye. All right. What do you guys think of that?
I liked it.
Her
I
artwork.
liked it a lot.
Some pretty amazing stuff. And she gave us all these great links for things to look up. And I'm glad that she mentioned following Spark on Facebook. You guys have to do that.